Hi, let's talk about living in the present moment today. Living in the present moment. What does it mean? Why is it important for our lives? I think it's quite an important subject to delve into a little bit. The present moment, as we understand now, is a continuity of time, the past, moving like a river, coming to this present moment now, and moving into the future. This is how we perceive the present moment. Is that so in actuality? Because if we perceive wrong, or if there is a delusion in our perception, then basically our life is based upon an illusion, which in fact it is, because generally we live either in the future or in the past. Why? Because thinking, the activity of thought, brings in time. The root of thought is memory, right? Without memory, there is no thinking. So my thinking is rooted in the memory, which is the past. And my thinking is in fact conditioned based upon my personal experiences in the past I had, which is still the memory. Based on my personal background, I was grown up in a certain country, had certain experience, certain hurts, certain happinesses, and these are all recorded in my memory, and that is the origin of thinking. So, as we can clearly see, our thinking is originating from the memories, from past. And thinking is generally about our past, remembering certain things, or it's a projection of a future. Right? So, if there is any kind of thinking, there is no such a thinking thought as thinking about this moment. It has no meaning. Right? It's either the past or the future. So, as long as the mind is captured in the activity of thinking, then what happens? Very simple. When I am doing anything in this present moment, I am talking now, I am having my coffee, right? If there is a thought entering into my mind which says somebody will come soon, or I have ordered the pizza so it will be delivered soon, so I must be careful, attentive, but it's thinking, right? Or I am thinking about the video, let's say, how will the video be? Will it be good? Will people like it or they don't like it? Thinking, right? Thought, or whatever, any thought, when it enters into my mind, when I am doing the action of anything what I am doing at this present moment, like I am talking now, then my attention naturally is divided. I cannot be fully attentive to what I am doing. Very simple, naturally. If I have any thoughts entering into my mind now, how can I pay full attention to what I am doing? That is why generally in daily lives we are not really very attentive to what we are doing. So, we have seen very simply and clearly that thought prevents us from living in the present moment totally. This is a very simple thing. So, what can we do then? We have seen the importance of living in the present moment. First of all, why is it important to live in the present moment? This is also important to enter. It is important because our lives are always in the present moment. Five minutes ago, when I started this video, that was present moment then. Now it is the present moment. 2 minutes later, it will be the present moment then. The only alive thing, the only living thing in the universe is this present moment. Very, very simple. 2 minutes ago is dead. It was the present moment then, but dead now. 2 minutes later, future doesn't exist. Dead. The only thing alive in the universe is this present moment. So, therefore, present moment is very important. But at the beginning, as we said, if we perceive this time as a river moving from the past into the present and to the future, then there is an illusion in our perception. And then naturally, past and future becomes important if we think there is such a movement. Or, it's like in a traffic, you sit in a car, all of a sudden, the car next to you moves, and you think you are moving. It's relative, right? In the same way, maybe this present moment has no movement at all in terms of time passed from the past, a movement into the future. Maybe this present moment has no such movement. Only it's our perception, delusionary perception, which I look at my past. I see I was a child, I grow up, I am here, and I am moving, and I'll die. Is that so? Of course, I have a past and I have a future. But is there a time movement? Or we don't move, but things move. Universe is in movement. And therefore, naturally, we grow old. But it is not a time from the past into the future moving. It's the physical objects in the universe which are in movement. Okay, so this is a subject which we can go into in perhaps another time, because it's a totally different subject. It's time. But now, very simply, if you look at it, we will see we live only in the present moment all our lives. The only place we can live is present moment. So when we see this very clearly, we can't live in the future. It doesn't exist. Neither we can live in the past. It's there. Present moment. So let's see this clearly first. Once we see this, then the question is, are we living in the present moment? Fully? Totally? If you look at it carefully, we will see, obviously not. We don't. Why? Because think past for the future. When that thinking is there, we can't give our full attention in the present moment to what we are doing or whatever. So, what can we do? Because we have seen the It's very important to live in the present moment. It's the only moment in our lives. It's the only alive thing in the universe. So, how can we totally live in the present moment? It's very important. How? It seems thought is preventing that. So, naturally, thought must come to an end. Thinking process must stop. Thought, it is necessary in our daily life, from here to go there, from here to go to the kitchen, going back to my house. In the mechanical things in the world, we need thought to function in daily life. But use thought when necessary and end. So then we are back in the present moment. But what is generally happening in today's life, thought basically is moving all the time. It doesn't stop. Never. And the basic problem, if it is only in the mechanical area, it's easy. There is no problem because you don't think about going to the kitchen all the time. You don't. Or you don't think about going back home all the time, how to find the physical way back home all the time. You know it won't. So where does the problem begins? With thought. Why doesn't it stop? Obviously in the psychological area. The area of the me, the ego. My future, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my wife, my boss. Why did he treat me this way? Is my wife cheating me? Right? So this is the area where basically thinking creates the problem. Not the mechanical area. That it is needed. In the mechanical area, thinking is needed. But in the psychological area, basically, thought, is it necessary? That is the question. Personally, I don't think it is necessary at all. For this body to survive in this world, no psychological thought is needed. Physical thought is needed, yes, to do a certain work, to cook, technical knowledge, to eat the food, or do the daily things. Yes, thought is needed. But psychological thought, the me thinking, is it needed? So this is a very important question one must put and delve into very deeply and go until the very end to find the truth of this matter. It's very important because unless we find it, then thinking goes on. And as long as thinking goes on, the me, the me, all the time, never stops. The ego. The ego is basically part of thinking. And unless it stops, then basically we cannot live in the present moment. It's always the time. The ego itself is time. There is no such a thing as the ego living in the present moment. It cannot. Why? Also very simple. The ego, what is the ego? It is my past. All my background. 30, 40, 50, 60 years of memories build up the ego. That is me, my background. Without that past, there is no me, no ego. If you move that past, ego is finished. So, ego is the past. It is made of the past. Its root is in the past. Right? Basically, it is past. So the past, desiring to live, meet this present moment. This is what happens if when the ego says, okay, I will live in the present moment. Because I'm so unhappy in this world, right? I have probably everything in the world, material. I'm still unhappy. I started this spiritual search. And they all talk about living in the present moment. So, the ego says, I will live in the present moment. But basically it's the past. Saying I will live in the present moment. It has no meaning. So, again, very simple. To live in the present moment, to enter into that dimension, if one could put it this way, one must leave the ego behind. Unfortunately or fortunately, it cannot enter into that dimension. But it's very simple, look, when you look at it, you see it's time to pass. Ego is past. And when I say I will live in the present moment, it's like an impossible equation, impossible formula. The past and the present cannot. When the past comes to an end, then there is present moment. So, then we have seen, to start living in the present moment, one must be aware of the activities of thought, especially in the psychological area. Watch, understand it. This watchfulness, this understanding will slow it down, because until now, it's like totally free, the psychological thought. There is no awareness, so it's moving wild everywhere. Like the mind can think about a very stupid thing in the psychological area for 5 days, 5 weeks. Why did he say this thing to me? But with the beginning of awareness, watchfulness of thought, there is intelligence coming in, and then you won't waste your time and energy with certain small stupid things, thinking about it, right? You see, you understand, you watch. It's the mind, it's moving all the time. This mind is, why did he say this to me? Why did he say this? Why did she say this to me? You watch, you sense, this crazy thing started again. Like there's an entity there, the ego, watching. It says the me and the her. When there is no awareness, it goes what? Because you don't know, there is no awareness, right? But when the awareness begins, then it is not that free, that wild anymore, because now there is intelligence, the hunter. Intelligence, awareness is the hunter of the ego, right? Like the police started chasing you. It doesn't have that freedom anymore. Before it was totally free, wild country. He can kill, do anything. But now the police, that's intelligence, that's awareness, right? So this is important. The moment this begins, awareness, the activities of the ego, thought, will slow down naturally. It's awareness. So, which means awareness of this kind is the key to enter into the present moment. Again, very simple. It's not something extraordinary. These things like nowadays, these people talk about living in the present moment. They have their own, again, techniques to live in the present moment. There is no technique. Again, it's who applies the technique. It's the ego playing with the technique. But as long as the ego is there, there is no present moment. Because the ego is the past. Basically, when you begin to live in the present moment, you're just doing what you are doing. It's like a baby. Observe a baby. The baby cries for the mother. But the moment the baby turns around and sees a toy, she forgets the mother. Because she lives in the present moment. Whatever you give to a baby, baby gives full attention to that thing. Right? Because she's living in the present moment totally. The difference is, of course, the level of intelligence in baby is not that high. We have a certain quality of intelligence growing by age. The baby doesn't have it. But apart from that, in terms of living in the present moment, a baby is totally living in the present moment in that sense. That is what it means to live in the present moment. Do what you are doing, give your full attention. See, if you observe a baby, they give their attention to even the very stupid things. They get lost in looking at an object. And then you call their name and it takes a second, 10 seconds for them to turn around and look because they are so attentively looking at it. And then when you call her their name and when they turn and look at you, then you are the only thing in their life. Then they forget this. So it's living in the present moment. Right? Being fully attentive to wherever you turn at that moment. Like that's the most important thing in your life. You go to the toilet and toilet becomes the most important thing. That's the only thing in your life, in the universe at that moment. When thinking about your business when you are in the toilet is denial of the universe. Because that business of future doesn't exist. What exists is toilet. That's the only real existing thing. Right? So, in the same way, just give your full attention wherever you are in the present moment. That's the only reality. There is no reality. What happens then? Because one might not understand what is going on. What is the point of giving your full attention when you are in the toilet? It is not interesting. That's the whole point. This mind, this ego, is labeling things like this is interesting, I like this, I don't like it. This is beautiful, it gives me pleasure, the other is not. But through that label, the ego is bringing in so many limitations in life. The total beauty of life is moving away from us. Because I like this and I don't like that. The moment I say I like this, then that means I don't like that. But then we lose the totality of the beauty of living. Like a baby finds everything interesting. Why can't? What changed? What changes when we grow old? We see a beautiful house, a beautiful flat, with a beautiful sea view, and we want to buy it because we enter this flat and it's so beautiful, the view. I say I'll be happy. At that moment I'm very happy. I saw that view is so beautiful. I buy the house. 2 months later, I don't even see the sea anymore. This is what is happening, right? Why? Basically the same thing. Because at the first entrance of that flat, the first time I have seen the beauty of the view, all of a sudden destroyed the past, the ego, and I have seen beauty there the first time. But then when I bought the flat, I see it every day, every day, every day. Finished. I am not living at the present moment anymore. That first entry was, I was in the present moment naturally, because it's the first time you see something, past stops. The very beauty of that thing destroys the past. And you are totally attentive in the present moment. So why this is important? That's why we are explaining why living in the present moment is important. This is the reason. Because then everything looks beautiful. Even you see this thing every day. Right? You see your kitchen every day, but if you don't look at your kitchen from the past, you never get bored in your kitchen. Basically, always, because it always looks new to you. If you live in the present moment, free from the past. This is what is important, like a baby, a child. Otherwise, pleasure becomes important. I choose not my kitchen, but my sex or my beef, my pleasurable drinks. So we are choosing all the time. But life, joy, is not about choice, because choice is made by the ego. Choice in the sense of happiness. This is what I mean by choice. I will be happy with my sex, with my food, with my holiday. I am choosing. But in joy, there is no choice. Joy can come in the toilet, in the kitchen, everywhere. You see the difference. And joy includes the totality of life. As we said, everywhere it can come. But pleasure, no. Pleasure is basically putting us into a prison of choice. Whereas joy is all the universe. Do you see the difference? So joy is choiceless. And the present moment. So this is why it's very important to live in the present moment. It's a totally different way of living. One can enjoy everything. Enjoyment, not pleasure. Sitting down in a quiet room, having your coffee, watching. Then you go and cook everything with it. Because then there is this quality of love of life, living itself, not the things of life. The sex and the beat or the business, the holiday. No. The life as a whole, like a thing to play with. Child plays with life, everything. It's playground. So then you are falling in love with life itself. You walk in the street, it's so beautiful to walk in the street. Everything you do becomes beautiful. You enjoy enjoyment is different. That's why enjoying things is different from pleasure. Pleasure is time bound. Why? Very simple. I enjoy the pleasure of sex or my beef or anything. The pleasure of anything, which comes through memory, remembrance. I remember the past pleasure, I remember the pleasure of yesterday, the beef I have eaten, and I want it again. So the past. If the past is controlling your living now, then it's pleasure. Right? Very simple. By enjoyment. I'm having my coffee. Not for the pleasure, but I enjoy it. Yes, it tastes good, yes. But not the past desiring to have it, but the very enjoyment of the present moment. It's finished. So, you see the difference. This is very important. So this is why it's important to live in the present moment. Right? I think it is very simple. Okay, I guess this is good enough for today. We can all think about these things, right? I'm personally always thinking in this sense. Not in terms of time, but looking, observing, understanding what it means to live in the present moment. The more you look, the more you observe, the more you go into this thing, the more intelligence, awareness comes. It comes naturally. The very desire to find out. I want to find out, I want to understand that passion itself will take you to the ocean. It's like the river. If that passion is very strong, that's the source of the river. I want to find out. I'm serious. When that passion is very strong, it doesn't matter how far away from the ocean that source is, it will find its way. It will go over the mountains if necessary and find the ocean. Right? But that passion must be there. I want to find, this is my only life. Such an important thing, this life. I want to find out. I don't want to live this stupid life they are living. Even it doesn't matter if you get rich, successful. That has no meaning. What is the point if you are rich or successful? You can be rich and successful. We don't say anything, but that is not the point of life. Life must be something much deeper than that, much more meaning. They suffer too. The rich and successful probably suffer more than the poor because they got so much to lose. Poor doesn't have anything to lose. They are so strongly rooted on the world. They have houses, the cars. You see the root so strong. For them, death is an incredibly scary thing because they are so strongly rooted, and then they go mad. But when they get older and older, they gathered so much material. That doesn't mean poor are very happy too. No. Basically, all humanity is suffering from the same problem. But what we say is, to be rich or successful doesn't give a meaning to life, a real true meaning. What gives true meaning in life is this enjoyment, even for a moment, real enjoyment of life. Even if it is for a moment in your life is much more valuable than the most successful person who lived 100 years without a moment of real joy and enjoyment. Okay, thank you very much and see you next time.